guys. How is everybody? I really wanted to do this live outside, and I was really cold. That's the truth. I sat out there for like a minute, and I was like, no, this is never gonna fly. So I came back inside, and that's sort of the state we're doing. It was really, really beautiful here for a couple days, and it's not beautiful today. It's just kind of cold. And I could sit outside with a coat on, but I don't want to do that. So I'm sitting inside. But I just wanted to say hi and check in on everybody and see how you guys are doing, how the stay-at-home order is treating you. We've been at this for I don't even know how many weeks now. We're at week 172 is my book. So, kind of a weird day so far. Not bad by any means. I went into the office for the first time in I don't know how long. Because I did a podcast this morning and I needed a landline, and the only landline in my world is my desk. So I went into my work and sat down at my desk for the first time in so many weeks, and it was so weird, and everything is very like sterile right now, and there's plexiglass up and just so much of just like odd everything. But it was so nice to see the people that I work with. All my staff are still there. And so it was like lovely, and we all had masks on, and but to get to like see people, that like some sense of normalcy was really neat. And I did the podcast, and it's funny because I knew that would be on the phone, but I had another Zoom call with the podcast that I'm doing this Friday, and I thought that was going to be a Zoom call. So I was like, all right, trying to reconnect. Oh, hopefully we're still there. Okay. And he said, I'm sorry I couldn't get the Zoom, whatever. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I didn't think about it. And I got home and I was like, so I did my hair and makeup literally for nothing. But that's okay, And I wonder, I've seen people posting that like they just feel like so much more themselves when they're actually getting dressed and doing their hair and doing their makeup, and because we have all sort of been living in PJs, at least I have been, or I'll get dressed from about here up, which is obviously a full shirt, right? I guess that doesn't make sense, but I'm still wearing yoga pants every day because nobody sees that. And I put jeans on because I was like, all right, I'm going out into the world, and that was really weird. So I had that experience this morning, but it's interesting. I've just been doing a lot of talks lately on anxiety and this pandemic and how people are coping. And it's like this reoccurring theme that I'm being asked to do. I did a talk on Thursday of last week, right? Don't ask me anything time related at this point. I give up. I think that was last week, on anxiety around business, and for other business owners who are nervous or worried during this time, and kind of ways to cope with anxiety. And then this podcast this morning was for this Christian radio station that's local here to me, and that was also based on anxiety and how to know when you or a loved one is experiencing anxiety and what to do with that. And I have another one on Friday that it sounds like it's going to be on that, and a little bit more like relationship geared. So, but it keeps coming up and people keep asking me to speak on it, which makes me think that there is a lot of that going on in the world right now. And it's interesting for me because I talk to people so much about self-worth and self-esteem. I had a call coming in, and that I don't necessarily get that it's like outside of my like little bubble of people I talk to, but I have people asking me a lot about this right now. So I thought that maybe it was something I should come in here and talk about if that's going on for people. So, and I'm wondering if that is something, and you can post whenever you watch this, if that is something that you've been struggling with, and if there's specific things that you're worried about right now, and if there's things that you're looking for help with. So the biggest thing that has come up is people are saying, what can I do? How can I cope if I'm feeling anxious when this isn't a feeling that I'm used to? So what's happening right now is a lot of people that have always had anxiety are like, okay, another day in the life, but a lot of the people who have not always had anxiety, who are experiencing this now for the first time, or the first time in a long time, they're going, what is this? I don't know what this is. So a couple of things that are key if this is something that you're experiencing right now is, first of all, to know what it is. I've had a lot of people be like, I don't even know if what I'm experiencing is anxiety. So the truth is, anxiety is so weird because everybody experiences it a little bit different. Some people experience it as a racing heart. Some people experience it as a tightness in their chest. Other people say it's like a tightness in their throat and shoulders. A lot of it is somatic. It is sort of like a body thing, but not for everybody. Some people say that they're just, it's like racing thoughts and it's like their brain won't shut off and to go to sleep or to just relax. It's like they're just constantly thinking. So the very, very first thing that I ask anybody when they tell me that they're experiencing some of these symptoms of anxiety is, who does this belong to? Is it yours? And I talk a lot about this all the time on other things and related to other things, but so much right now in the world is focused on fear and doubt, a worry about the future, worry about money, worry about health, worrying about either family members. And so we get this sense anytime that we turn on anything, it's fear based. It's so much of that. And also anytime you talk to almost anybody, it's, how are you doing with this coronavirus thing? It must be hard staying home. Yeah, you must feel really claustrophobic in your room all the time. I mean, it just, people project this onto us. And so, and I've talked a lot about how I've spent so much time in my home office, which is really just my guest room, and which it just happens to be where my desk is located. And so I've spent so much time in this room, but it doesn't really bother me until somebody's like, oh, wow, that must be really hard. And I'm like, oh, I guess it is kind of hard, but we start to pick up on what everybody else projects at us. And so just be aware of that. And so when you have that feeling come up, ask yourself, who does this belong to? Is it mine? Right, John? Return to center with consciousness attached. And consciousness just includes everything and judges nothing. And so when you return that to that person, you don't have to hold it for them anymore. And you're giving them some space to do something with it. And you don't have to know who it is. So for some people, they're like, I don't know. Is it my mom? Is it my dad? Who does this belong to? It's a rhetorical question. The real question is it yours or is it someone else's? Not figure out in your life who it belongs to. You don't have to figure that out. So that's the very, very first thing I will tell you. If it lightens at all, it is not yours. And if that lightens or doesn't lighten and you feel like there's something else stuck, what is it that's required now? And so I ask I ask people to ask questions. What is required now? Is it that you need to go for a walk? Is it that you need some water? Is it that you forgot to eat because you've been working all day? So what is it that would change what's going on for you? Do you need to just write everything out? Is it just that you have these thoughts that are spinning in your head? And if you got it all out on paper, it would feel like they could stop spinning. I'm waiting for my kid to start knocking on the door. Just FYI, I'm probably going to be interrupted. But I hear him walking up the stairs. But I'll go on until that happens. So what else? And ask your body, if it's a body sensation you're experiencing, what needs to happen body? And ask your body, what is it that you need? Is it that you need food? You need water? You need to move? Do you need to change rooms? Is it that you've just been in the same space for hours and you just need to walk around? You need to go sit somewhere else? I'll do all my patient calls in one room in here, and then I'll get up and do my notes sitting on the couch somewhere else just to change space up. And do you need some human interaction? I think it's really easy right now to get really stuck, kind of like working or doing whatever we're doing and not talking to people. So is that an option for you? Can you FaceTime with somebody, call somebody, text, but have a real text conversation? I more encourage the talking or the FaceTiming or the Zoom calling where you actually feel some human connection to people. And what else? And it might be something specific for you, but just to start to ask questions. What is this? And what is required of me or my body that would help me to change this? The other thing that I am trying to remember all these conversations I've had over the last 48 hours and also a little bit into last week of what to do with panic is something else people are asking me about, and people who have never experienced panic attacks are asking me questions about that. And people are also asking, what is it even like? And the truth is, much like anxiety, panic attacks can look different on different people too. But if you are feeling like a really heavy tightness in your chest, you feel like you might faint, you feel dizzy, you feel like you start crying and you can't stop, you're hyperventilating, all of those could be symptoms of panic. And to look at that and be like, okay, I see it, I see what this is, and I'm going to let it flow through me now. And that's something that I've talked a lot about. Actually, I was talking about this morning on the podcast I was just doing. Was the presenter had asked me about panic, and I was describing to him what I will tell you is that I've often described panic, or the best way of dealing with panic, instead of fighting it, which is what we naturally do, is go, oh my gosh, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. And then we go into this like push universe where we're stuck. And here we are. We're like in this, like, we can't move in any direction, right? But if you recognize what it is and actually allow it to flow through you, it doesn't have any power over you anymore, because you're not fighting it, you're just letting it move. And then the energy of that kit has somewhere to go. So I've described it to people as if you were in an ocean, if you've ever had this experience in an ocean or a big lake, where there's waves that you're jumping, right? And you remember being a little kid and you see the wave coming and you go, whoop, whoop. Every time the wave comes, there's nothing, it's fun, right? It's just like, cool. But if you see the wave coming, you're like, I'm not moving, and you don't move, what happens? The wave hits you and knocks you over, or it hits you hard one way or another. And that's that resistance. But when you don't resist it and you move with it, it doesn't have any control over you, and you just move with it. So if you think of panic or anxiety in general, truly, in the same way of just letting it come and to flow through you, it's such a different experience. And you might still experience some amount of panic, but when you respond to it differently and you no longer go into fear, you're teaching your brain something different. And so then the next time your brain doesn't go into as much fear, because you remember that last time you handled it just fine. And time 3, you remember that the second time you handled it better than the first time. And it keeps going until the panic starts to come and you're like, oh, there's that panic thing again. Cool. And you jump the wave and it's fine. And after a while they go away. At least that was my experience, and that's been a lot of the experience of the people that I've worked with on this, is that after they've done it so many times and they stop fearing it and they stop giving it power, then eventually the panic kind of just stops. So, and I found that a lot with anxiety too. So truth is, guys, I could make this a very long thing. I realize how much I've talked about anxiety in the last few days, and then how much I actually have to say about it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's just all like stuff sitting in my brain. So, and I work with this, and I work with people individually as a coach. We talk a lot about anything that this comes up that's bringing up anxiety, fear, overwhelm, self-worth, all of that stuff that leads to confidence or lack of confidence, so that we can kind of have some tools to not be feeling this anymore, get underneath whatever it is that was causing it in the first place, and move forward. And so that we're not staying stuck anymore. So even though we're in the middle of a pandemic, and even though we're all on week 7, 6, I don't know, even though we're sitting and doing all of this right now, this is still a time that you can be looking at yourself and going, how can I handle this differently? What questions can I ask? How can I have fun in my life? And what next? So, I don't know. I'm like, I could go on, and I think that's probably enough. So, but if that's interesting to you, if that's helpful for you, if this was helpful for you in any way, shape, or form, I would so appreciate it if you'd share it. And if you're looking for some extra help with this, if you'd like some one-on-one stuff, get a hold of me, send me a message, or send me an email. It's melissa@journeytopresent.com. Super easy. And we'll talk about how we might be able to work together. So I will talk to you all very soon, I'm sure. I have some little ideas and things up my sleeve that are starting. So stay tuned. All right. Thanks, you guys. Bye-bye.